Hello, YouTube. Good day, new day. I'm starting over on this video. The last video you couldn't watch because I had it in 360-degree view and it messed up my video. So let's hope this video turns out better than my last video. I'm sorry to have to redo this. I wanted to keep that video because it said everything that I wanted to say today. But we're going to start over, and hopefully I can do this correctly. This is a little bit about me and being bored and talking about pipe accessories and pipes today. Housekeeping, I'm going to show you this really quick. This is I don't know who's the manufacturer on it. I know it was made in Italy, and it says SABBIA. Now, if anybody can pronounce that to me, Siberia, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at pronunciations of some of this Italian stuff. It's a really neat pipe. Really neat bowl. I had to restore the top of the bowl before I gotta find me a camper here. Anyway, this is what this video I think it was supposed to be on today until it got screwed up. I will light my pipe in just a second here. I want to I need something. Sorry, I'm not organized. I'm kind of upset that my last video got screwed up to the point where it was not usable. And I mean not usable. Couldn't watch it, and I'm afraid I'd lose some of you because of how terrible the video was. So I apologize for that. What it's going to be on is in my spare time and my boredom of not working, because medically right now I'm kind of retired. Kind of, sort of, not totally, but I'm there due to the cancer issue that hopefully I have beat. I'll find out this next month when it all comes around, when they do my next testing, find out. But it's on pipe tampers that in my spare time, in my bored time, I have built and collected over the last few months. Okay. Start over here real quick. Hopefully this will work out for what I want to do. Start all over and pick these out. I've got tons of tampers, like I said, because I'm bored sitting here doing nothing. And I wanted to show you a few of these, what I've been doing here. Not trying to drop them, but drop. A couple of my first tampers I wanted to show, and I don't know what happened to. Yeah, they're here. Okay. Let me get this kind of undone here so I can pull these out one at a time and show you. And I'll do it as quickly as possible I can. Here's the two first tampers that I ever made. I'll show you this here real quick because I wanted the ball jars that I have, not thinking, well, most of them are wide mouths, which is good. I can still get my hands in them. But I thought, it was just a whim of a thought, that if I made a tamper, because I had copper elbows, 1/2-inch copper elbows that I've been using for repairs in the house, and I had a bunch left over. So I took one and I heated it up, pounded it out, cut it, obviously, and made a little shovel out of it. Took um, an actual willow branch with the knots in it still from the, I can't remember what you call that, where the other part of the little branch comes out, leaves a little knot type thing, and it turned out pretty good. It's got a couple coats of marine tung oil on it so that it won't absorb water or anything. And then I put carnauba on it, and it's hard to see that, but that's a 45 auto shell that I put on the end for the camper part with the shovel on the other end, so I can get down into some of my deeper bowls, deeper containers that I use to keep my tobaccos in, and I can dig some out, put it in my little tray, and then pack my pipe. So I think that's pretty cool and interesting little one. That's one of my first ones. My second one that I built out of the same willow is this one right here. This is a 45, excuse me, a 44 Magnum shell that I put on the end of it. I left the bark on it because I wanted to bark on it, give it that rustic look with all the knots and the branch transitions on them. Just rounded that off so it's easier to push and make. Now this has got a little bit of clear coat on it because I put probably 10 coats of the tung oil on it, and it never would come out. It just kept absorbing until the thing is just logged with that. So I put a clear coat on it just to seal everything, and it is dry and hard right now because it hardened finally. And then I took carnauba wax, obviously, and then carnauba waxed it, polished it out. Turns out perfect. I even carnauba the shell so it won't tarnish, and withstands the heat really well, so the carnauba doesn't melt off of it. Let you see that 44 mag shell. So that was one of my first two that I did real close together there. You know, just thinking of ways to make tampers and stuff, and in the future might make a bunch more and put them on eBay, or not eBay, SD or whatever you say that, one of those sites, and maybe sell some because I just get bored, not working, need things to do, and I start making these things. So I've got several of them that I made. And then let's start out with what I ran into. I got to thinking about it because I saw on everybody's website and YouTube page and a few other places, they're making antler ones. And I got to thinking about it. I said, wow, antler ones? I've got a little bit of sheds that I've picked up, and some that I've shot and kept the antlers on and that type of thing. Because I am in Montana, so I do get to hunt as often as I can afford it and get out physically and do things. So I took some antler and started making some tampers. And here's one of my examples. This is where I cut it to use the material on other things. Now, that one works really great. I mean, this is just one example. I've got several of them. One example that works great for cleaning the pipe, tamping the tobacco down it. It fits perfectly. I do that. Works out great. So these are some of the ones. I mean, I've made several of them that same way. I polished that little piece out on all of them that I do. Still get the same effect there where it can clean it, tamp it. I love these little guys. They work out great. I mean, it's just natural. I do use a little bit of marine tung oil on them also, just to seal the cracks and the pores and stuff. And then I haven't tried carnauba on these yet to polish them out and see what that turns out like, but I'm sure it's going to work out just fine. Here's just another quick example of the same thing. Polished out that little piece there. Makes it shiny. Beautiful, works out. There you go. That's the 357 shell that I've used for the tamper part. Works out really, really great. I like it. It functions well. It's got good weight on it. Going back to the weight on these, on some of the shells when they're the lighter tampers and stuff, I've learned a little secret on how to get some weight on it. You don't want a heck of a lot of weight, but enough weight to you don't have to really work. Or if it's too light, let's go back. If it's too light, you got to use more pressure to get your tobacco to basically pack down. You don't want to pack your tobacco too tight because then you got too tight of a draw and you can't keep your burn going correctly. That's anybody that's been smoking pipes in the community. We know an overpacked pipe just doesn't smoke correctly. Too loose of a pipe, you can kind of burn your tobacco too quick and also create a little bit of too much heat, and you can burn your briar out or your corn cob depending on what you're smoking at that point. But with the antler ones, I made a couple of different ones that I really like, and then I just experimented with a couple of the antler ones. But this is my white-tailed deer that I shot years ago. Those all came off of that quite a few years ago, 5-6 years ago anyway. And more than that, it's more like 8 years, 9 years ago. Time flies when you're having fun, or time's fun when you're having flies, however you want to say that. But I use this little tamper the most out of any of my antler tampers, and I mean I use this one 99% of the time, all the time. I do use the other tampers, but that's only maybe 1% that I'll go through, and I'll just grab a tamper and just use them. If I can't, for whatever reason, I don't, if it's in my pocket or something, I have a tendency to stick it in my shirt pocket up here and then forget about it. And then I'm rummage around and I go to wash. I go, there it is. So with that being said, anyway, with that being said, this is my most favorite because I'm just grabbing my volcano right here. That works really good to get in there and clean everything and push things down and clean the sides out. That works just as well as a spoon, knife, scraper, whatever the case may be. It works well. And I will tell you this, I did carnauba this, so it stays clean. You just wipe it off. And even if you're poking hot ash and stuff around in there, the carnauba does not melt off this thing very fast. I mean, I wipe it down, and I've handled this and put my fingers all over it. And I mean, I have, and it still shines really well. I even carnauba the 357 shell I got on it. Works out tremendously well. It packs well. I like the size of this. It fits 99% of all the, I should say 95% of all the pipes that I've got. Only ones that don't fit is the really deep bowls, which I'll get into here. So that's another one. But that is my most favorite one. With ands or buts, I like that particular tamper the best out of any of them. I'm going to try to come up with a few more sheds here in the very near future. Go out on some hiking when it gets warm and the ground clears up and I can get and see some of them. I'm going to hopefully run into some more. The sheds that I've got left, I want to keep them for what they are because they're good sheds and I use them. Excuse me. So, like I said, this is my most favorite. That's the one I like the best. And I did hand grind those and fit those and then glue them up and use them. As I was going through my transition of making those, I wanted to see, well, let me get back into this real quick. I made one other one that I may change this one up down the road. I've used, instead of, on a lot of them, I've used 44 Magnum shells, like I said, 44 Magnum shells. This one here I made for some of the briars that are a little bit deeper bowl, bigger bowl. This is a 4570 government, Springfield government, whatever you want to call it, shell. Been around for centuries. I love this one. This one fits pipes really tremendously well, fits all of my deeper pipes, and I mean packs well, got a good weight to it, it works well. Now, going back to the weight part of this, I've learned something here in the last 4, 5, 6 months, whatever. Something I didn't know, and something I bumped across another guy's, and I wished I'd remembered what his YouTube page is. But he showed something that impressed me, and I go, I've got enough of that material in the house. I keep that stuff because I always have to get in, and because of our water, um, got that alkali water, so it kind of corrodes the pipes, and I have to replace fittings every so often. So I keep enough supplies around to do that. But with that being said, solder, just regular copper pipe solder and flux. Now, I don't use the flux usually. You can if you want, but I don't. I've been using I take little short pieces of the solder, chop them off of my roll of solder, and I've got, I don't know, because I always can't find it, and I go buy another, and then I bump across it, months, years down the road anyway. So I got plenty of it sitting around that I've found and finally started putting it places where I know they're at. I chop up 4 or 5 good long pieces of it, drop it down inside there, and heat the shell up, obviously, and then that stuff melts, and it stays in there. It's not coming out. So it gives you enough weight to tamp with without having to forcibly have to beat on it or anything like that, or push hard or whatever. Just light drop, I should say light drop. Let's show you what I'm talking about. Just light drop, just like you normally would. We all know how to go in a circle around our tobacco and then tap the center and pack the pipe. Each individual person does it the same way, but it does it a different way. Try to say that correctly. Does a different way, but we accomplish the same thing. It's just packing our pipe to our liking, how tight we want the tobacco in there. So when we smoke it, it burns. And each pipe packed differently because of the burn and how hot briar gets or the corncob gets, so you don't burn them out. That's the reason why you do that. And then as you're burning down, you tamp your cake, your coals to keep the burn going, and then burn your pipe down. And I save all my ash because I make my ash into I cook it down several times after I dump it out to make it into a powder form so that I can use it to make cake or coating for the inside of pipes. Now, a disclaimer on that, I do have to say this, a disclaimer. The FDA says if you're going to sell a pipe to people, you have to have an FDA approved material to coat your pipes with. People have been coating pipes with ash for years. But the FDA says, no, if you're going to sell them, you're not supposed to do that. So what carbon products that manufacturers use that do coat, because there's a lot of pipe manufacturers that don't coat them at all, the Briars or Behr, or whatever you want to say inside of them. Most of them that I get, there's very few of them that I get that are a Behr coating in there. But say, for instance, this Bones from Chris Morgan, my Bones. Love this pipe. I haven't smoked it yet, but it's got a great draw, rusticated. Obviously, it's got a minor little flaw in it, which doesn't matter because it. But when you do the seal test, there is no outside air draw. That sucks my hand down, sticks my tongue to it. It isn't going anywhere. So this has got a great seal, great quality pipe. I haven't broke this one in yet, but I thank Chris for making these pipes. I couldn't get the one I wanted, but this is the closest one, so I went ahead and bought it because I wanted a Chris Morgan pipe, period. He makes some fantastic pipes. So I scrounged up enough pennies and just did it anyway. So this is a panel pipe. I love it. So anyway, off that subject, back to the tampers. So I got to playing around with these things and started looking in the house because I got tree material outside that I keep stacking up to make little knickknacks, this, that, and the other. Because I like to mess around carving and well, I have made a few pipes of my own out of materials. I got some apple wood that I made some pipes out of and stuff. But with that being said, I'm not a pipe manufacturer. I just do it for my own pleasure. And eventually, I will do some videos on my own pipes that I've made and some of the ones that I've collected over the years. But but anyway, back into I've made, like I said, I made several of these antler style. This one I made just because I made it this way. I may change it up later, may cut them off and make individual ones, but right now this is made this way. This is overgrown. You wouldn't want to carry this around. This is just used, like I said, 4570 there. That's just made for my office type. Set up here for display when I do smoke, and I don't have the small, that one that I love the heck out of right here in front of me. Then I'll grab that and use it. It works really well. It's just it is big and bulky. But like I said, I was wandering around the house thinking of, because I was bored again, wanting things to do besides clean the house and everything. I came up with a unique thing since I said like we got hard water in the house. So we've had to replace a few faucets over the years. And the style of faucets that we like have these unique handles on them. These right here. Okay. Chrome. And I had a couple that were porcelain. A little bit of tobacco dust on it. But anyway, porcelain one like that. As you can see, they just screw into the faucet itself. They've got threads on them. They usually have a little rubber seal that I pull off. I don't leave the rubber seal on because then the shell doesn't fit on there. But that's 357 shell. Screws right on. Those threads, I've done several of them to different manufacturers. They're the same threads. They work just fine. You can go down to your local hardware store if you want to, and usually they'll have these sitting there. So if you want to change them out, make different, you got they then make oak ones, they make mahogany ones, and you name it, they make them all kinds of these. I got thinking about it. I said that would make a nice project, as you can see. Like I said, it's a 357 Magnum shell. And these are heavy enough weight that I had to put no lead inside there. Just the weight of the handle itself is more than enough to tamp your, and I mean, they fit well. Obviously, that fits very well. Works well. Tapers up there is nice on it. So it does well for tamping. So I've like got a chrome one, got the porcelain one, worked out great. But back onto the antler ones real quick. I had some little pieces of, I don't throw, if they're over a certain size, and then sometimes I just throw them in I got a steel, or I should say, an old oil drum that we cleaned out, the smaller drum. And I just keep all my little wood ends and odds in it to basically to, because projects down the road, you never know what I'm going to make them into. I had little pieces of that antler left over. And that's oak that I had small pieces of that I used the oak to make different things in for my reloading stuff. And then for knickknacks and stuff again, I had some small pieces left. So I actually spun this up in just a hand drill, electric hand drill, spun them up because they were square and I just rounded them. I mean, it's crude rounding, but that's, and then drilled through the antler, put antler in there, and I used to glue it all together. Obviously, I used epoxy, but I drilled small holes in them and then put epoxy in there, and then use matchsticks, put everything together until the epoxy dried, then polished out the ends. Obviously polished out the ends. You can see the end grain and stuff in the, so you know it's oak. You can see where I put the matchsticks in them. And then what little imperfections I had in them, I just filled them with epoxy and a little bit of sawdust, and then overfilled them so I could sand them down. And then 3 or 4 coats of, well, actually more like 5 or 6 coats of marine grade, so it wouldn't, moisture wouldn't get into it. And then carnauba it. So it does shine. It's just hard to see, but it does shine. When you see the glare off the light on it, and it about blinds you on the screen, you know that's that shiny carnauba. And I've had my hands all over it, and it still shines really decent. It's not a real high shine. I don't want a real high shine on it, but that's another one that works really, really well. And it's got a little bit of weight to it, so I didn't need to put anything into it. Okay, so, oh, and I did want to show you this one. Back to this guy here. That's the other faucet knob there again. This is a 30-06 shell. You can't see it because it's an old military 30-06. Got the military crimps on it and everything. So, and it's probably a Berdan primer instead of a Boxer primer. So that's the reason why I didn't use it. I don't have the correct, I mean, I can get them out, but I don't have the correct tool to take those out. So I just said, man, I got plenty of I got 2,000 of 30-06 shells. So I took that screwed right on to the handle again. Polished the brass out, carnaubaed it so it doesn't tarnish or anything. But I actually used a little bit of epoxy and screwed it on. That ain't going anywhere. That is, I mean, I get on there and it won't come off. It's perfect. So these are weighted perfect for camping. You can see I like to make campers. I just bored experimenting, doing whatever, made campers. Now, before I go any further, clean up my mess a little bit. Like I said, all these crazy ones that I made. I love them because they got the pokers on them, so you can clean the pipe and scrape around and do whatever. But playing around with all this stuff, I found an old one of those sponge brushes that you use for painting something or staining something, and then you just throw the brush away. Instead of being the plastic handle, I had a few of the old ones, and I still got a few of them laying around. They have the wood handles on them. It's a Douglas fir or a pine or something, yellow pine, something tremendously soft. Okay, they're junk. Believe you me, that's the purpose of what were designed for the brush is what they're for. But I got to thinking about it. I said, well, why not? Let's see if I can harden it. And so, you can use it. When I was digging around in my just junk that I've got downstairs in my basement, I keep all screws and stuff. And I come up with this little, I don't even know what it came off of and what it was for, it's round. It's not the perfect type of a tamper, but it works, and it works well for what it is. Now, this was a crude steel piece of material. I mean, it was so rough. I mean, it wasn't rusted. It was, I don't know, you call it just a real rough casting. There we go. That's to say it right. Rough casting. So I took it, ground it down, polished it out. There you go. Took the little sponge paint brush, whatever you wanted to use it for, brush. Like I said, foam one. Polished it out, burned it a little bit to give it this color, stained it with a little bit of walnut color, rounded the end off on it really well because it was just a square end when I started with it. And 3 or 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many coats of the marine tung oil, then a little bit of sealer on it, on top of that after it dried, and then carnauba the heck out of it. And that's what you get. It's cheap. It's just was something to do. Kept me occupied between cleaning house, doing dishes, doing, like I said, laundry, since I'm a house husband at the moment. And there you go. Perfect. I mean, it works. It's just threw it together. Get off that. I ordered some pipes through, I squeezed a little bit of money, and Lago Works, or however you say that company out of Oregon, very good, tremendously people. They make the Hobbit style, Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth, whatever you want to call them, Harry Potter, I don't know what you call them, pipes. I love them. I like the long stem pipes. Okay. And fact of the matter is, there's one of them. I've got tremendous amount of these Church Warden, Middle Earth, whatever you want to call them. Even, now this is just one of them, just grabbing it, what I've got laying here. It has the Hobbit on it. And that actually spells my true name, which is, I go by my middle name, which is Kevin. I know my account says Rune Milk, but it's supposed to be Rune Dog, which I got to change that here eventually. Rune Dog is my handle that I've gone by since I was in the early years of my high school years. It's just something that came up with and have stuck with it forever. But with these Middle Earth, long stemmed, Hobbit, Dumbledore, whoever pipes, they're fantastic. I love them. You got to break them in correctly, because if you don't, you'll burn them out real easy. But once you get the cake start building up in these correctly, and like I said, I've learned how to use the now I can't say it, here we go, guys. I just can't say it anyway. The pipe ash stuff. I make the coating, mix it up. Here's actually, I've got some right here. I got to write that on everything that I'm saving, or my wife has a tendency to pick it up. I don't know what in the world that is, and in the trash it goes, and then or she puts it somewhere where I can't find it, which I'm not knocking her for that. She's just doing what she thinks is right, and that's okay. But I got this on here, and this is pipe ash that like I said, I heat it several times, burned it down several times in a little pan that I've got here to make it into a fine powder. I mean, it's a powerful. You mix a little. I like to use distilled water. You can use your own saliva. You can use regular tap water, but I just use distilled water because I got a crap load of it, and so there you go. You mix it up till it's not real soggy or anything. You just mix it up until it's a flowable, decent consistency, and you coat your pipe bowl with it. You let it dry for about 3 days, and it protects your bowl from being burnt out. And I know it's hard to see this, but I want people to, I don't know if this will work or not. Let me see. Yeah, you can get kind of a, now that's not for me smoking it per se. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to try it. There you go. But I hope you can see that enough to get the idea. That was coated with that. Now, like I said, FDA says can't sell them, can't, because hazardous to your health, materials, who knows. But it's my pipe. I'm only the one smoking it. I know where the tobacco came from. Put it this way, I'm not a diseased person, so so I don't have a problem of making the pipe putty out of it and filling. And I put a very, very good light coat on it. I mean, my other one has got my name on it. it's been done. I mean, that's a nice coating in there. And I've only smoked this once after I did that. I let it set for 3 days because once it dries out, it creates that hard cake in there, just like if you were smoking it, if you smoked it. But this is a way to protect you from burning out the briar or the material that's in there, because you never know. This wood is a hard wood from Oregon, but if you smoke it too fast, too hot, you're going to burn the bowl out. Especially when you get down to the bottom of your bowl, it will burn out. So I coat them. It's just a habit that I've gotten into on these type of pipes. I will coat them, and that way I'm protecting it for the first couple smokes. And once I get a cake started building up in them, then I'm not so worried about them. I try not to. I got a bad habit. I got to say this. Chooching on my pipes too hard. I'll be sitting there hanging on to it like this, watching videos, smoking away, and realize that I'm sitting there, my hand's getting hotter, and yeah, I don't want to burn the bowls out. So, but this is another one that I wanted to show you, that I'm into these Middle East long stem. I like them very well. This is just a few. I got some in boxes put away. Now this one I have not smoked at all yet. There again, I don't know if you can see the inside of this bowl when I do this. Just showing you. And no, I have not coated that yet. Okay, I haven't coated that yet, but I'm going to. So when it gets down to the bottom, that's where I have the problems with it. Get down to the bottom, and they get so hot, they start to burn out, and I don't want to ruin a pipe. I haven't completely ruined one yet. I've been able to save them, so I don't want to burn them out. But back to where I was, campers. Sorry to get off on the tangent, but campers. On the Middle Earth, Hobbit type style, like I said, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, those guys and their pipes, those type of pipes. I got to think about tampers again in general. I needed to make something that was similar to the Middle Earth that I could use on those type of pipes, my church wardens and that type of thing, because I'm a little bit into that type of stuff. I like the series of the Hobbit books and movies. I haven't read all the books, but I've seen all the movies. Love them. So I came up with an idea to take a piece of I'm not 100% sure if this was the apple or if this was the willow. I took a good chunk of this. And here again, in the lathe, and I don't have a lathe, in my hand held electric drill, I spun this up. Okay. I used obviously I used a little bit of walnut stain on it after I got done with it. But I spun this up, rounded it out, did that on it before I put the end of it on it. It was longer wood, and I did that. But through the process, I got about 4 or 5 coats of the marine tung oil on it again. And I said, to make it a little bit more interesting, I got out my Dremel tool, and it's hard to see that with the coloring that's in it, but that's a K for Kevin, which is my middle name, which I go by Kevin, aka Rune Dog, Rune Milk on anyway. And I carved that in there with my Dremel tool, filled it in with epoxy, and then continued on with I put a couple clear coats on it, and then Carnauba waxed over the top of it. So there's where you get all the shiny and everything on it. Then I got to thinking about it. Went down to my local box hardware store, started looking through the copper tubing and stuff because I figured, well, they ought to make caps for the 1/4 inch tubing. And I finally found some. I, and I turned it down to fit and um, epoxied that on there. And that makes a good cover for that. But what I did before I did that, because this is such a light, very light wood, what I did here was I drilled out the end here and used a 30-06.308 diameter bullet to the right size hole there. It was 150 grain weight bullet stuck in there. So it gives it enough weight, and then put the cap on it. Like I said, glued the cap on it. It's got plenty of weight to tamp. And for these Middle Earth style pipes, that sucker works good. So it matches and it goes with the theme of that. So that's why I made those. I love them. They smoke great and work great. That's one of the last ones I've made. And let's get into, this is my very first camper that I ever bought, besides making those other campers. I bought this one before I started making campers. When I got to thinking about it, why did I buy one? Obviously, I know why I bought one. But this is a Mr. Boggs. I mean, I don't know who made it for them, and then they put their information on it. Obviously, it's got their website on it. I bought this one thinking that this was all I ever needed, because I really wasn't in the heart into smoking at that particular point. It's got the scraper and the tamper and the poker. Obviously, it's got everything on it. But I like my other ones better. And I mean, this is a good tamper, don't get me wrong. It works out great. But I like my natural. I made them. They're fun. Like I said, this little guy right here, I use 95% of the time. 90, 95, I don't know, maybe 99%, but I use this one the most. On the lines of tampers, I've got the typical $2 spoon poker tamper. This one came actually bent. How it got bent, I don't know, and I don't care, because it actually works great getting down into some of these longer bent pipes to clean them out. It works out fantastic. When you got something stuck in there, you just pipe cleaner just won't work. And before you get out the drill and try to drill it out, but it works out good for cheap little tampers. They do their job. So I do like them for what they are. And I got a couple of them. They came with different pipes, kits, that type of thing. But a lady from either England or somewhere across the pond from the United States anyway, she sent me this with a pipe. As just, she threw it in just to sweeten the pot type thing, get people in. Ooh, it comes with excess, this, that, and the other. How they are, just to get people to put bids in off of eBay, and how people do that anyway. So she sent that with me. This is an antique. I don't know who made it. It doesn't have any information on it whatsoever. No manufacturer, but it's a fantastic size spoon. I like the spoon scraper part of it. It's good size. The poker's great. I don't know if you can see where the corrosion was on it, and I cleaned it up. It was corrosion. It was not rust, because this is an aluminum, or I don't know what's made out of, but it's really lightweight, and it had some corrosion on it. So she just left it on there and just sent it the way it was. And I took it and I cleaned it up. So I took most of the corrosion. I don't want to go any further with it. It works great, functions fine. Who cares? It works. It's mine. Anyway, it works great. Now, my Last one before I get into my very, very last one. Another 4570 government Springfield, whatever you want to call it, shell. Now, this is one that I did take several pieces of lead there again, drop it down in there, heated it up, melted it down. It will not come out. It's fantastic. Got a nice, 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 nice weight on it. I do not say overweight them because then, but got enough weight that it works really well down into your pipe. It fits well, does well. I like it. What I did, this is a natural piece of willow again, straight piece that I was going to use to make pipe stem extensions out of it. But I didn't because I got to looking at it and said, that's a nice straight piece, good looking piece, make a nice topper for a camper. I mean, it's got some neat graining, and the finish on it is nothing but a couple coats of the marine grade again, because I want to seal it for moisture, and then nothing but carnauba wax. That is nothing but carnauba wax shine on that, because the sealer did nothing but just seal the wood so the moisture wouldn't get into the wood. Okay, I polished the end of it. Obviously, you can see the grain. Get it to where it'll focus. I mean, that grain's nice. The rings in that little branch piece is just perfect. I mean, and that polished out. I went through the grits, polished it out, and that's nothing but carnauba. Like I said, just a little bit of sealer on it and carnauba, and that's where the shine comes from. Carnauba seals that. That's a really high temp. Also carnauba disc. But this 4570 shell, I actually turned that, hand turned it with, like I said, with my drill, turn that where it goes in there, and that is recessed inside the wood with the epoxy inside. I mean, that turned out so fantastic, and it works good. This is another one of my favorites that I just got done with this maybe a week and a half ago, just playing around again. This is because I've got so many 4570 shells, I can afford to waste one or two of them. I try to keep so many of them on hand just because, but I've got enough of that one. So that's another one. But back to my Middle Earth, or I should say Middle Earth. Back to one of these that I really want to get into. I mean, I know this is a little piece of wood, and if you get the coloring, and if it comes out on here, it looks like it's blue, but it is actually green. On my screen, you can hit the light, hits it right, it's green. If you bring it back, it looks like you turn it like that. That looks like it's blue, but it's not. It's not a dark blue. It's actually a darker, I don't know, Kelly dark green, whatever. I made this for a reason. Just a little branch. I understand that it looks like, how could you use this for anything? Well, there's a reason. Scott at Aristocob, the owner of Aristocob, okay, he does the contest of cob foolery every year, where you take pipes and you modify them, the corn cob pipes. They make kits, or you take your own corn cob pipes or whatever you have bought and modify them into a unique, interesting pipe. And they have the contest every year to do this. Now, every year they have so many kits that are left over. If you want to do one of their kits and then make it and show it, and see if you can win the contest, that particular type of thing. So they sell the kits. So what I did before they ran out of the kits, I bought two of the MacArthur long bowl corn cob kits. Now they come undrilled, so you have to drill these yourself. So I took this one. This is supposed to be a straight, instead of this bend here, it's supposed to be straight out. Like, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This right here. That's the way it's supposed to naturally be. Now, I didn't make this traditional. I put the little stem in it, took the other stem, put it in my kit box. So, because I like to screw around and, like I said, make a few pipes, so I keep those stems. But this one, I did a short stem. I love it. Short stem that way. This is a true MacArthur style bowl. Now, they come naked, so you have to use plaster pairs. I filled them, polished them up. I mean, I went through till I was at 12,000 grit on the outside of these, and just one or two coats of marine just to seal everything. I don't want a lot of coats of that on there, and then a heck of a lot of carnauba on it. I mean, on the stem and on the bowl. A lot of carnauba. Now, I don't know if you can see that if you hit the light just right, that does have a nice shine on them. I've been handling them a little bit, so it's not as if I just buffed it out. It would, but I also did something. I mean, I polished and polished and polished, so I got a really good polish on the top of the bowl, and that's got a heck of a lot of. You can see that carnauba on that. There you go. See the carnauba shine off that. That way, you should never, ever burn the top of those bowls. But if you do, you can just buff out because I mean, that's like 8, 10, 12, I don't know how many coats of carnauba on top of that. And then you can just put another layer of carnauba on top of that and buff it right back out. And because I have, this one's a good example. And that's got a high buildup of carnauba just for protection. I mean, I don't know, that's 12 coats or something. But if I ever burn it out, burn the top by accident, I can just buff it and put another coat and buff it again. Now, one thing that I want to say about this particular pipe, the reason why I built this as a tamper, because of this pipe. I screwed up when I was making this pipe, and I went into the pith at the bottom of the bowl, which means that's the soft part, center of corncob. I love corncob pipes. I've got several of them. Smoke the heck out of them. I love them. But these I've got maybe, because these are the kits that I just built, I got maybe 3 to 5, maybe, I don't, just guessing, smokings out of them just to break them in. I also used my pipe mud. There we go, pipe mud, and have pipe mud the bowls and the bottom, and covered up where the wood goes through the wood stem, and I actually ran something down there to keep it from clogging it up, and then pipe mudded all over that. So now I don't have a problem of worrying about burning these out. They won't. If they're smoked correctly, not sitting there, like I said, chooching on them, which I catch myself, but I haven't burnt one out. They'll last forever. This one I built into a sitter. That's what I wanted to show you. I just got screwing around with it and built it into a sitter. There you go. Fantastic. I love it. I mean, that's tremendous. It's a neat sitter. So I built that way. But what I'm talking about this is because of this pipe, and I'm going to show you here. I don't know if you can see that. See where that goes? I mean, that's a lot of, get this where I can get down there. That's a lot of bowl. I mean, if I pack that correctly, where it's not so tight that I can't draw through it, but still get a decent draw, that's a 3-hour bowl if he's just sitting here just casually puffing away on it, not thinking about it. This is one I definitely don't want to smoke in the house with my wife. When she comes home, she will freak because of the smell. That's a lot of tobacco smoke inside the house. I don't smoke a lot in the house, but when I can get away with it, yeah, I'm guilty. I'll have a bowl or so in the house. Now, like I said, that's the reason why I built this one, because that is so deep and so narrow down there that I can't get a regular tamper all the way down there. Here's a good example of what I mean. This tamper works for 100% of every pipe that I own but maybe a couple. Okay. I tried to get down and I can't get all the way down, and you see how deep that goes down in there. That's crazy. I mean, that's a 2 to 3 hour bowl packed correctly. And that's not all the way down there. That's just probably 3/4 of the way down there. Sorry, I didn't show you 3/4 of the way down there. I mean that's a yeah, that's not all the way down there. I still got another half inch I can go down. So I don't know. I should give you just real quick. I'm curious myself. So this is just curiosity, guys. But if I do this right, paper one here so I can do it. That's almost a 3 inch deep hole. And if you've been smoking pipes for very long, you know exactly what I'm getting at. That particular bowl, packed correctly, is a long smoking bowl. So I need to get me a shot of coffee. My voice is going. It's cold, but it's still drinkable. My flavored brew that I love the heck out of. Anyway, so that's the reason why I built that camper. But that's just a little bit my rant about campers. I love making things. I mean, I love reloading um, ammunition for all my firearms and stuff. I do accuracy, precision reloading. So I'm a stickler on if you can't do it safe, don't do it at all. It goes to everything else that I do on this. I do got a disclaimer on this. If you can't do woodworking safe, please don't do it. I mean, that's just more work for somebody else to take care of you because you did something, or the fact that you kill yourself, whatever the case may be. I'm the same way with my reloading, my pipe smoking, anything my pipe making, even though I do a lot of freehand working on pipes, making of my stems and that type of stuff because I don't have the equipment, I don't have the room to do this. So I just do a lot of hand work to make this stuff. So I have to do it as safely as possible. And I love doing it. But I don't have a lot of money for all the tools and all that stuff. But with that being said, like I said, I enjoy it. I love it. I love the whole thing about the tobacco part of it. I know it's not the healthiest thing in the world, and but I enjoy it. It relaxes me. It keeps me occupied. Uh, I keep up with what's out there new, what's happening. It's like McClellan's or however you say their name. They're 5100. That red Virginia, which is an excellent Virginia. We it hurts to see it go, but it's gone. So if you do find some out there, and whoever has it is stupid enough, and I'm saying this in a nice way, stupid enough not to know what they have, and you can get it from them, get it. Because the red Virginias or straight Virginias, the blondes, it doesn't matter. The Virginias are one of the better. And this is, I mean, I do it. I mix my own tobaccos, my flavors. I use different oils, stuff that are safe to smoke, different flavors because I do top some of my. That's the reason why I've got so much straight Virginias because I do top them. Or a sweet Virginia, I might do them because I like a little bit of sweet flavor in my tobacco. So I like the aromatics. That's what I'm saying. I like them better, but I do like in the Perique in some of them. I like them, but the Perique is kind of a strong tobacco. I've got some of them laying down here. I got to get jarred that I've ordered, and so I got to get some of this stuff. So I'm going to try some different things, different herbs that I've been researching and stuff that people for medicinal purposes and stuff that they can smoke that are safe to smoke. Let's put it that way, safe to smoke. I'm not into, I'm going to say this, wacky tobacco. I don't agree with You can get mad at me all you want, but the marijuana side of it, or the hash, or anything to that effect, the drug related to smoking stuff, no, no. I know the nicotine in the regular tobacco, and this is, I'm sorry, this is just my own little quick rant, is unsafe. But in moderation, and I mean moderation, it relaxes me. Like I said, it keeps me occupied, and I do not condone the other stuff. I don't, it's your own preference and your own prerogative if it's medical purposes and that type of stuff. If you've got a green card, more power to you. But with a green card, you cannot own guns. So that's another reason why I do not smoke any, how do you say it, hallucinogenics or anything like that. No way. Not for medical purposes, not for my cancer, not any reason to smoke that stuff. Some people have suggested that I need to smoke the oils and that type of stuff. No, not the hallucinogenic type stuff. No, that's my own rant. So please, I don't say any of this stuff for, your opinion is your opinion, and so be it. So with that being said, I'm sorry, but that's my rant. So anyway, I need to get off here. I've been on here too long. I don't want to lose too many of you, and I probably have lost a lot with my rant through this. So I'll get off here, and thank you for letting me rant. I'm going to light up my pipe because I didn't smoke on screen because I mean, most of you do, but I generally don't. I have, but I don't like to as much as some people do. But I'm going to light up here in just a second and enjoy the rest of this because it's a partial bowl that I need to finish out. Like I said, it's going to be real dry. It's been sitting in there for a couple of days. So I'll let you go. And I thank you, YouTube Society of Pipe Smokers and the Pipe Club. I'm glad and proud to be a member, and for all of the subscriptions that everybody has given me so far. I'm at 42 or 3, maybe 4. I don't know. I have to check again. I haven't looked this morning, but I appreciate you looking at my site, my page, whatever you want to call it. And thank you for supporting me. I love supporting you guys. I do want to give out to the Sarge. I think your videos are very intelligent videos, very precise. Your last 3 days, your little snippet ones that are just quick, short, but your grocery store one made me laugh so hard. And it's not a grocery store. I mean, it does have groceries in it. We know who the chain is because you can't tell me I don't figure that out because my wife works for that chain, believe it or not. She works in the worst department in that store. And I will say customer service. So she deals with what you're talking about every day on your grocery rant. Sergeant Savinelli, you said it correctly. I agree 100%. You already saw my agreement on that. So I appreciate that. So thank you. And that's my VR for today. I thank him for that. And I hope to see a lot more of yours. And everybody else on YouTube. I am thankful to be a part of this group. So I'm going to sign off now and get off here before I've been on here too long. Thank you, and have a very, very good rest of your day, and God bless everyone.